We're a little over halfway through the year, and I read 101 books. Let's go through which book was my favorite so far for each of these months. First, let's go through a couple of stats. Out of 101 books this year, 56 have been romance, 48 have been fantasy, which is actually pretty surprising to me because normally I read more fantasy than romance, and I guess the beginning of this year was pretty romance heavy. 17 books have been fiction, which I'm assuming is the literary fiction books I've read. 10 books have been considered sci-fi. I'm not sure which of those are though. And 7 books are young adult. My average rating so far this year is 4.1. And my most read authors are Gray Holborn, Matt Dinniman, and Elsie Silver, followed very closely by Fredrik Bachman. I would say overall, those are some pretty good stats. And we're only halfway through the year. In January, we started off pretty strong by reading 14 books, which was kind of crazy because the beginning of the year was a rough one. I would say my favorite book in the month of January had to be Zodiac Academy. This is by the Twisted Sisters. If you don't know anything about it, you're following these 2 twin sisters. They end up being Fae royalty. They grew up in the human world, not knowing who they truly were and kind of just being on the run. So when they find out who they are and are told in order to get your inheritance, you have to attend this school, they're like, done, no questions asked. So they attend Zodiac Academy and they meet these 4 absolutely atrocious but delicious bullies. And I don't want to say too much because I feel like if you are into a magical school with a ton of different types of creatures and characters, there's fae and vampires and shifters and just a ton of different beings. All walks of life are there. But it is definitely on the darker side. The first book, they are severely bullied by the 4 heirs that they come into contact with. And you will love this book, but you will hate it at the same time. But it is such like a guilty, fun pleasure. If you haven't read it, check it out. In February, I went a little bit more nuts and I read 18 books. I don't even know how. And honestly, looking over the books, none of them are standing out to me as being like, this was amazing. Like they were just good, but didn't really stick with me type of books. If I had to pick one though, I think I would say Amid Clouds and Bones by Ella Fields. I did really enjoy the twists and turns in this one, and I didn't see them coming. This is a standalone fantasy, and you have Seelie and Unseelie courts, and our princess is like a half fae, half human in an arranged marriage that she just wants to survive. And there's so much drama that goes on, and the MMC, he's a little mean. He's a little mean to her, but I loved it. I loved it. That was a good time. I love when books are able to surprise me. They don't have to be the best written books, but if you can surprise me and I don't guess the ending, like you got me. In March, I read 20 books. Let's just say the beginning of the year, I did nothing but read. I went into this like deep dive into Gray Holborn's Protectors Academy World Protectors Guild. And I read all 8 books like that. It was absolutely insane how many books I consumed in March. But my favorite was an ARC read that I received called Death's Kiss by M.M. Reeves. And this book just blew it out of the water. You have enemies to rivals to maybe lovers eventually. It's like kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean meets the Goblet of Fire in the sense of like its trials. The trials are very different and unique, and I loved it. A slow burn that is just so slow and delicious. And then you have women supporting women and found family that is just top tier. Like some of my favorite found family is in this book. And the way that the women are just so loving and protective and supportive of each other is perfection. Did I mention badass, sexy pirates? And when I say that, I don't just mean the men, like the women. I know I just said they're the best, but like they're also badass, sexy pirates themselves. that can hold their own against all the men. I think I fell in love with every single character in this book except for one, and if you've read it, you know exactly who I'm talking about. It was over 600 pages, and I couldn't put it down. I literally devoured it, and it had me cackling. The banter in this book had me straight up cackling. If you haven't read this book, check it out. It is like one of the top books I've read this entire year. In April, I read 15 books, and this is the month, people, where Dungeon Crawler Carl came into my life and absolutely consumed it. I listened to Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. I was looking for an audiobook just to listen to while I was walking and kind of keep my mind occupied so I could actually make myself leave the house. And let me tell you, this delivered. This book delivered. You have aliens that have taken over our planet, and anyone who was outside survived when this event occurred. Anyone who was in the buildings, in a car, anything with a roof over their head got sucked into the ground, and they're just gone. They're gone. Dunzo. If you were outside, though, you survived, and you get an opportunity to go into these dungeons, or you could live out there with nothing in a very primitive lifestyle. Whoever goes into these dungeons, turns out that they are on an alien TV show, and they must survive. They must fight for their life. If they can get through a certain amount of floors, they may be able to make a deal and get out alive. If they win the entire thing, they basically become the new ruler of Earth. It is so interesting. It is so good. We're following Carl and Donut. It has amazing found family. It has so much action. It is nonstop. I don't see how anyone can be bored. I get it's not for everyone, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see how anyone can be bored. This is another one that's up for like favorite book series ever. Like, it's up there for my top tier reads. Right next to Throne of Glass. That's how much I love it. And oh, I can't remember the name of it, but the Malice series by John Gwen. Like, it's up there with that for me. In May, I settled down a little bit again. I read 12 books in May. And I think May I wasn't sure about until the very end. At the end of the month, I read Bonekeeper's Daughter. Bonekeeper's Daughter by Elise Fry. I think it's Elise, actually. I read The Bonekeeper's Daughter by Elise Fry. Another arc that I received that absolutely just blew my mind. So good, so unique. I've never read anything like this book before. It is a massive book. It is long. However, it is one that is worth the payoff you get at the end. It is so worth it. It will take you a second to get into because you're learning new terminology. You're learning about this magic system. It has very well done world building. But then you just get to this point and it sucks you right in, and there's no going back. It will take you through such a roller coaster of emotions. This is a unique story about a girl who is able to speak to bones, specifically the souls that are stored inside of the bone. It has another slow burn, and when I mean slow, like the slowest of slow burns, but also one of the best. There were twists and turns, again, that I didn't see coming. Just like jaw dropped to the floor, like, well, what the heck just happened? This is extremely dark, though, so check your triggers. There are quite a few of them in there. Overall, freaking amazing book. I can't wait for book 2. I'm like stalking this author's page because I need book 2 in my life as soon as possible, because the ending of this book, something happens and you're like, no freaking way. No way did this just happen. How are we going to move forward right now? That's the type of ending this book had. In June, I read 13 books. Now, I am not going to count my Dungeon Crawler Carl books because I've already said Dungeon Crawler Carl once, but just know that that's encompassing the entire series, because otherwise every single month would have a Dungeon Crawler Carl book associated with it. For this month, besides Dungeon Crawler Carl, I would say my absolute favorite reads of this month is the Beartown trilogy. I couldn't stop after just reading the first one. If you don't know, Beartown is by Fredrik Bachman, and he is just such a masterful writer. He is able to capture every character's thoughts and feelings and make you as the reader feel them. Even if you thought you didn't like this character over here, because from someone else's perspective, they were a POS, essentially, you then get their perspective a little while later, and you see some of the reasons of why they are the way they are, and it makes you just feel for them. Beartown is a small itty bitty town out in the woods in the middle of like BFE. I don't remember where it is, to be honest. And they live, eat, and breathe hockey. Everything in this town revolves around hockey. When hockey's doing well, there's more money pouring into the town. The kids have better offers to go and do things, possibly the NHL, but if not, college. The businesses are booming. And their biggest rivalry is a town to the south, I want to say. A town to the south, another itty bitty town in the middle of nowhere that is really good at hockey as well. And that's their biggest rivalry because there's just not enough money to go around, not enough funding. So either this town gets it or this town gets it. And it goes back and forth a lot. The night before the biggest game between these two towns, something traumatic happens. And the book is really about not just how the people involved in this traumatic event are affected and how they're healing, but about the entire community and how it didn't just affect the couple people that were involved. It affected way, way more people. I thought it was horrible, but interesting to see all of the different perspectives that you wouldn't normally see in a book like this. Normally, books focus on the people involved in the traumatic event and how they grow and heal from it. This focused on an entire town. And it is one of the best books I've ever read. It literally changed me. You see people and their decision making and why they made those decisions. I don't want to say too much. I went in blind and I'm so glad I did. There are triggers, so check your trigger warnings, but phenomenal book. I have not cried so much in a book. Like, I don't even think I've read Binding and Keeping 13. And I did not even cry that much in Binding and Keeping 13 like I did in Beartown. Truly, truly so emotional. Technically, July isn't over yet, but at this moment, I have read 9 books. And I can't even tell you which one's my favorite. It's up between 2 of them right now. One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune or He Who Fights with Monsters by Shirtaloon. And when I say that, that's including book 1 and 2. This one's a lit RPG. This one's a contemporary romance. So they're both very, very different, but they both hit so hard for such different reasons. One Golden Summer by Carley Fortune. I literally picked it up for the summer vibes. I was going on vacation. I needed something to read, so I picked this book up. And it was the best decision I ever made because this was an easy 5 stars. The way that she writes her men is honestly the best. I actually like the way she writes her men better than Elsie Silver. And that's like such an outrageous thing to say because Elsie Silver's men are top tier. So she's right up there with it. She was able to literally transport me to the lake where Charlie and Alice were. I could picture the perfect sunsets. It was like I was on the jet skis with them, swimming in the lake, driving fast boats. I could picture it. I was there. I wasn't just reading about it. And I think my favorite thing about this book is that it wasn't just about their romance. It was so much more. It was about finding yourself and realizing that as we get older, we change as people, and that's okay. And it's about accepting that and learning who you are in all your stages of growth. It's about family and friends and living in the moment and making those memories that you'll always remember. Because a lot of times we're not present like we should be in those moments that actually matter. It was literally perfect and exactly what I was craving in a romance. And then you have He Who Fights with Monsters by Shirtaloon. And this is a lit RPG that is so different from anything I've ever read. I love Dungeon Crawler Carl, but I feel like Dungeon Crawler Carl is like a gateway. It was the gateway drug for me. I consumed it. I love it. It will always be up there in my top tier reads because it was exactly what I needed when I found it. It exposed me to lit RPGs, and now I've gone on to my second one, and this is so different. Honestly, you can't compare them. You cannot compare Dungeon Crawler Carl to He Who Fights with Monsters. They're very, very different. I don't know if you can go into this one as someone who is not into lit RPGs. Dungeon Crawler Carl, on the other hand, you can. This has more of like a D&D type feel to it. There's quests and the magic system is so unique. The main male character is Jason Asano, and one day he wakes up butt naked on some cozy grass in a new world, and he has no idea what the frick just happened. He starts walking around trying to figure this out and realizes that there are some like game-like mechanics going on. He can see inventories and like interact with things and see what things are called just by looking at them or touching them. And then he's running from some cannibals and you're like, what is going on right now? What is going on? But it just goes, it just like picks up and goes from there. And you get this really amazing world building. And the magic system is composed of different essences that people can consume essentially or absorb into them. And based on the 3 essences you decide to choose, a 4th one is manifested for you. And those are the magic powers that you start awakening. So cool. So cool. And so infinite, to be honest, with what you could possibly get and do. And book 1, you're just learning the world and meeting your main characters. And then the ending just grabs you and rips your heart out. And then you jump into book 2 and the monsters that you're fighting get bigger and badder and harder. And there's trials in this one. And I don't know. I don't want to say anything else. I'm not saying anything else because I can go on and talk about like the intricacies of this world forever, but it will spoil everything for you. If you haven't read it, read this book. If you have read it, give me more book recs, please. That is all of our favorites so far for 2025. I have had a pretty amazing reading year so far, and I'm excited to see what else I get into because my reading taste has changed so much from the beginning of the year to now. I can't wait to see what I start reading. I'm going on a lit RPG journey right now, sprinkled in with some romance and fantasy and like a very tiny bit of dark romance. I'm like all over the place. Let me know what your favorite reads of the year have been so far, and if any of these were yours. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and going through what my favorite books of the year were so far. If you are new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I'm just a girl that loves to read and share it with all of you. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one.